I asked her, all right, blankets, clothes? She said, we get blankets once a week, lots of clothes. What do you need? What do you need? She said, sanitary napkins. Nobody pays us for sanitary napkins. Can't philanthropy be smarter? Can't philanthropy do better? Is it not something that we as smart people coming from good universities can do? To me, there is just one lesson that I've learned above everything, is that if you really want to learn how to give, start giving. There is no shortcut to it. So when you think what you can do, give. And before you give, ask the first fundamental question. What do you need? I was sitting on that wooden chair looking at the superintendent of this orphanage, feeling quite good about myself. This was about 12 years ago when I decided that on an auspicious occasion for the family, I will feed the orphanage that was closer to my home, the orphanage that had more than 200 young girls. And of course, I had just booked with the caterers, biryani and cutlets and desserts, and feeling quite good about myself. I'd gone to meet the superintendent, and she looked mighty pleased too. She was gracious, full of gratitude, thanked me a million times for one lunch. And while leaving, I felt so good. I said, you know what? Maybe I'll do this every month. Wouldn't that be nice? And thankfully, I was looking at her when I said it, and her face kind of shifted a bit. And I paused and I said, what? Do you want something else? Don't they like biryani? Would they like something else? Should I do it once a week instead of once a month? And she looked at me and said, actually, there are very good people who feed us exotic food twice a day. So we actually have a problem of bad stomachs in the orphanage. And all they really want is plain dal chawal. And sometimes they just like to be hungry and left alone. It was like a shocker for me because I, from my place of privilege, had assumed that poor children will be hungry and hungry people want the best food. So no dal chawal. I asked her, all right, blankets, clothes? She said, we get blankets once a week, lots of clothes. What do you need? What do you need? She said, sanitary napkins. Nobody pays us for sanitary napkins. Incidentally, it was the cheapest item on the list, but it was difficult for them to ask. It was even more difficult for the patron to pay because how do I go back home and tell my family I supplied sanitary napkins for the month? A bit of this embarrassment, so let me feed biryani instead. But that episode stuck in my memory because that's the time when I learned always to ask the first fundamental question, which is, what do you need? Thankfully, very soon, I, being a chartered accountant, was already very, very irritated with my profession, and I found EdelGive Foundation, which was a small grant-making foundation, gave grants to small NGOs across the country, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind because as someone who thought that she was middle class, from Mumbai, grew up in humble backgrounds, I realized three fundamental truths. If I had food every night on the table, if I could sleep without worrying about assault or any kind of danger to my physical body, and if I could show up to school, I was definitely not middle class, and I was definitely very privileged. And EdelGive proved that to me. We were a small grant-making foundation, like I said, and we met great people. But simultaneously, I also had the privilege of meeting many, many really rich, very wealthy, very well-meaning people. And I was sitting in the middle of it all and thinking, oh my goodness, there's these folks who can sign a check anytime, and these folks who need it. But there seems to be this huge blank space in the middle because people don't know what they need. And that's when EdelGive decided, and thankfully I decided, to shift my entire focus to looking at project and what I think can solve a problem to solutions for people overall. And EdelGive moved to becoming not just a grant maker foundation, but extended all its backend to anyone who needed to guide them on where to give, what to give. We became a philanthropy asset manager, an advisor, because honestly, it's money. If I tell you go and buy a mutual fund, are you going to spend 8 months talking to 20 mutual fund owners, going and checking into their offices on whether they receive salaries or not? No. There are some metrics. You decide, you buy. Can't philanthropy be smarter? Can't philanthropy do better? Is it not something that we as smart people coming from good universities can do? Manu and Safia said a very incredible thing, that we are all products of kindness that other people have extended to us. It's not just for those in the marginalized. I standing here, you sitting there, we are all here today because people have been kind, benevolent, and enablers of different parts of our journeys. We are products of a subsidized education system, and we are products of an ecosystem where people opened doors for us. And that's what I think we need to bring to the table. So when EdelGive moved from being a grant maker to a philanthropy advisor, we started thinking of how to structure giving in a way that givers find it easier to give. So 7 years ago, we put together a collaborative, and we said, all right, 7 funders come together, let's partner with the government, roll out an education program in the whole of Maharashtra. Could we have done it alone? No chance. But you know what happened? Because 7 eager funders were on the table, the government got excited. Our pilot worked with 25,000 children. And in 1 year, we moved it from 25,000 children to 1.5 million children. And it's still going strong because there's many of us sitting together with our brains and our checkbooks thinking, what can we do? And what do you need? But for me personally, the climax or the pinnacle of the journey so far has been something that we did 2 years ago. An initiative that we brought in 2 years ago, Grow. What is Grow? Grow to the answer to every question that says, where are the good NGOs? Where can we give to? What do we choose? Grow is not a philanthropy initiative. Grow is a financial instrument that makes smart choices to pick 100 good NGOs from across the country, from diverse sectors, because really this is our country and all issues are our issues. It treats it like a large mutual fund, 100 NGOs getting the same amounts. But again, you know what's the best part of it? Is that on the other side, there are more than 35 funders who came together with small and big ticket sizes to our appeal, which is when you're supporting good causes, don't think of projects. Don't think of 5 children and 20 schools. Think of being shareholders to the solution. Be shareholders to the big picture. Think about how the whole segment is moving. 35 funders came together and said, we're going to work to enable 100 NGOs to do the job better. And what a delight this whole piece has been. People coming on calls, checking in to see how 100 are doing is phenomenal. And we've done this to replicate. Now, why do I say this? Why do I bring this whole Grow and the concept of collective giving together? I'm very, very cognizant that everyone in this room and outside has their own giving journey. Some people have been working on it for years, and all they know is how to spot a good plan and fund it. And some are in this initial hesitation stage. What do we do? How should we fund? To me, there is just one lesson that I've learned above everything, is that if you really want to learn how to give, start giving. There is no shortcut to it. The risk is worth it. And why is it not? Everything in life is risky. How can humanitarian issues be bereft of risk? Issues that have outlived us and our previous generations, have survived hundreds of years. We are attempting to solve it together with the smartest technology, smartest approach, best financial instruments. So when you think what you can do, give. And before you give, ask the first fundamental question. What do you need? Thank you.